Well, hello there. Good morning. This is Straight to the Truth coming at you on a beautiful Saturday morning where the sun is shining, the birds are chirping, and the butterflies are flying. Good morning. First of all, I would like to say I hope everybody is having a wonderful day, and I am here to do my content on the 3 Kansas City Chiefs fans. Evidently, the report for what was in their system has come out. What do they call it? The toxia. I can't even say it. But anyway, yes. It is known fact that they are saying that there was at least, as of right now, 3 different drugs that was in their system. Now, if you haven't heard, I'm going to go back and give you a little update and briefing on who these 3 young men are that passed away, that they're saying froze to death outside in the snow in the backyard. 3 of them. Yep, you heard me. 1, 2, 3. But before I get into that, as usual, I need you guys to subscribe, like, follow, share, and hit that bell up above so when I post a new video, you'll be the first to get it. All right, let's start it off, kick it off, and get into it. Okay, so like I was saying originally, these 3 young men that were from the age of 25 to 37 were found in a friend of theirs' backyard, frozen to death. Now, I know you're probably saying, oh my God, how does that happen? Well, that's what's being investigated and they're trying to find out. So far, the toxicologist has come back and is saying that they had 3 different drugs in their system. Now, let's roll back a little bit and let me give you a little bit of briefing on exactly how this all started, especially for the people that is not aware or haven't heard of this story. Because as usual, these type of things, you don't really hear about it in the news. But likely, we are here to talk about it on social media where we're keeping up with everything. But of course, straight to the truth, we get down to the nitty gritty. We let you know the truth of what's really going out here in our communities and out here in today's world. Where you don't really hear about these type of stories and these things that are going on CNN, Fox News, Channel 12. So guess what? Your girl Straight to the Truth and all my truth seekers, that's what we're here for. Alrighty now, let's get into it. Okay, so about 3 weeks ago, there was 5 young men that went to a friend's house. The owner of the house, his name was Jonathan. Jonathan had invited some friends over to watch the Kansas City Chiefs football game. It was on a Sunday night. Of course, at a football game, you know, you usually have a little bit of drinking going on. You might have a little bit of smoking, whatever your choice of recreational drugs are. You know, just having a good time as they watch the football game. But it just so happens that these men never made it back home. And the families were concerned because they hadn't heard from them for 2 days. And the last time they spoke to them, like one of the guys, his girlfriend, his fiance, the other guy's mother, the other guy's family, they were looking for him. They had been texting these guys. They had been calling. They had been all over social media trying to get in contact with them. But it seems like nobody knew where they were, that they had just disappeared. So, allegedly, these men were supposed to be at a friend's house watching a football game. And it comes to find out from all the autopsy report and stuff that they had some drugs in their system when they were the autopsy was done. There was 5 of them. One of them left around midnight to go home. The owner of the house, the host of the football party, ended up falling off to sleep for 2 days. Meanwhile, his other 3 guests, his other 3 friends, the other 3 guys that allegedly he's known since high school and college, they were like the 3 Stooges. You saw one, you saw the rest. You saw the rest, you saw one. So, the owner of the house, he was a scientist. He helped create different kind of medicine and stuff. This young man happened to fall asleep for 2 days. While he's in his house, knocked out to the world, unknowing of his surroundings and what was going on, 3 of his guests were in the backyard, dead. Supposedly, he told the police, once they were able to awaken him to what was going on, he told the police that they had left earlier in the night. But how could they have left if their cars and stuff were still in your driveway? How could that be? So check this out. While you've got the family going crazy looking for their loved ones, the fiance going crazy looking for her loved one, she goes to the owner of the house, the guest of the party, looking for her fiance. She's knocking and banging on the doors. She's calling cell phones. She's texting cell phones. And nobody's answering. The owner doesn't even hear her knocking or banging on the door. You heard me. She happens to climb through a window or break a window or something. And at that time, she sees one of the 3 men sitting in a lounge chair in the backyard, dead. You heard me. She sees that he's dead. So she's banging and banging on the door. She's banging and banging on the window. Nobody's coming to the door or the window. So she calls the police. When the police get here, they bang and bang on the door. Finally, the owner of the house, the guest, miraculously wakes up and answers the door. Now, she has been knocking and trying to get in that house for hours. She has been trying to get his attention as he's in comatose state, knocked out, sleeping on the sofa. And he's saying he didn't hear her. But as soon as the cops knock, he hears them and opens the door. Now here comes the whammy. The police find 2 more men in the backyard, on the ground, in the freezing, cold snow, deceased. You heard me. You didn't mishear what I said. You heard exactly what I said. The police knocking and banging on the door. Finally, the owner of the house, the guests, the person that is throwing the Kansas City Chiefs football party on a Sunday night for him and his friends could watch the game, finally gets up and opens the door. As the police come in and start looking around, because they already know that they saw, the girlfriend tells them that there's one of the guys in the back in a lawn, sitting in a lawn chair. That's when they find him dead, and then find the other 2 dead, deceased, on the ground, frozen to death. Can y'all imagine finding that? That poor girl. They were frozen to death. They couldn't even get the autopsy stuff done until after the bodies thawed out. You heard me. They were frozen to death. And in order to do an autopsy to find out what the cause of the death was, they had to wait until the bodies thawed out. Meanwhile, over here in the next room, you've got the owner of the house, the guest. The guest, the person that is throwing the Sunday night football watch party. Yes. The owner of the house, the guest. Not the guest, the owner of the house. The guest that is throwing a football watch party. Yep, you heard me. Is in the house, knocked out sleeping, while his friends lay in his backyard frozen to death. Now, this happened 3 weeks ago. They have been waiting for the autopsy. And guess what? The results of the autopsy is back. You heard me. The results of the autopsy is back. What did they find in these 3 men that froze to death outside and died system? So, the autopsy is back. The district attorney, who has no charges has been filed against anybody, calls for a meeting with the family. And you want to know what was told to the family? And the fiance? They are saying that the 3 young men from the age of 25 to the age of 36 reported the autopsy that came back said that they had cocaine, marijuana, aka weed, aka ganja, aka sticky green, aka that Snoop Doggy Dogs, in their system. Also, they said that the report came back saying that they had fentanyl in their system. Woo-wee. Woo-wee. Let's listen and get knowledge on these drugs that were found in these deceased friends' system. Yeah, so this right here is Jordan. This is the host. This was the host who hosted the Sunday night football watch party for the Kansas City Chiefs. This is the man who's supposedly supposed to be a scientist. And now also another thing is they're saying that he checked himself into a drug rehab program because after all this has happened, 3 friends' life just gone. He's starting to realize that he has a drug problem. And all of a sudden now he feels the need to check himself into a drug rehab because he hosted a party. And at that party, they're saying that there was cocaine, fentanyl, and marijuana. Yes, this guy right here.
Detected in the toxicology results of those 3 Kansas City Chiefs fans found frozen to death last month, the beginning of January.
What if I don't like it?
Party.
So this is what we know. These are only preliminary results, but sources with direct knowledge of the case tell TMZ that other substances may surface once the official results come out.
Even more.
Family members of those fans who died have a copy of the report, but they have not confirmed what it says.
All right, this comes after we learned that Jordan Willis, the host of the party, checked himself into rehab. He is not currently facing any charges, and police insist the deaths are not being investigated as homicides.
Look, the police are saying not investigated as homicide. So they don't believe nobody killed these 3 people. They're not going to charge Jordan. It looks like Jordan, Jordan's in rehab right now because he had a drug problem. And the whole thing is who supplied these drugs. I think that's what Jordan should be telling people, because these drugs, they didn't make one little batch of drugs and just they got them. These drugs are out on the street. So if you're in Kansas City, man, please be careful. Don't do drugs. Just say no, because there's a batch of bad drugs that are killing people like that.
But should they be? Let's bring in Dr. Michael Baden. He's right here, pathologist, Fox News contributor. Dr. Baden, this revelation, we thought about drugs, right? Reasonable people thought it was drugs. What does this tell you? Cocaine and fentanyl.
As Lauren said, we have to wait for the official report to come out, but it appears at this time that there was fentanyl and other drugs present. Fentanyl is used by doctors because it's a powerful painkiller, and one of the side effects is making a person sleepy. And what happened here, I think, could have been that the 4 of them used the drugs together. The one fellow who comes in and sleeps on the couch indoors sleeps it off.
2 days.
For a while, more than 24 hours, right? Whereas the other 3 get sleepy and pass out outside. And because of the weather and because of the snow, the body temperature drops very quickly from 98 degrees to 80 degrees, at which point, less than an hour, the heart can't beat anymore.
So them being outside in the cold in that condition, in less than an hour, they would have died. So say they got a little high and they passed out on the ground, boom, within an hour, hypothermia done set in, and these young men have died. He goes on to say that, the levels, 3 people dying simultaneously, that some people can have levels up to 100 in their system and be just fine. Fentanyl works it's different on each person. He kind of explains that. So let's go back into it.
So they die of a cardiac arrest due to hyperthermia, It is very unusual for 3 people using or 4 people using drugs together to die simultaneously from fentanyl. The effects on people varies a great deal. So it's less likely to be overdoses and more likely to be hypothermia caused by passing out from the fentanyl.
What does that tell you?
Okay, so no drug overdose, because like he's going to go into, that these people can have levels even way higher than that in their system and not die from it. But, if they pass out in the cold, they're not going to survive it. The only difference is Jordan was in that house and they were outside. But if Jordan would have been outside, he'd have been dead too.
Now, I'm going to go back just a little bit into what they're talking about, the doctor, what he's talking about, and these reporters. Now, what they're saying is that there was nobody, it wasn't because of the drugs that they died, even though they play a big part in it. It was mostly because these drugs were taken, were in their system, and then they were outside where they froze to death. Now, why did that? Who freezes to death outside when there's a door right in between where you can go in and enter a nice warm house? But because they had these drugs in their system, the cocaine, the fentanyl, and marijuana, and whatever else was in their system, it's almost like being paralyzed and not being able to function. Like you're sitting in a chair, you're probably out of it, you probably start getting sleepy, your everything starts to slow down and shut down, your heart rate, your respiratory system, the whole 9 yards. So now you can't even function because you're on so much stuff. You can't even function enough to tell yourself, yo, you're getting too cold. Get up out the chair and go in the house. You're sleepy. Your brain is on 9 because you've got all these drugs that is hindering that front lobe, which should be able to tell you, yo, you're freezing, you're cold. Get up, go in the house. You're laying on the ground, freezing to death, but you can't even bring yourself to get up and walk in the house because you're overloaded on these toxic, heavy drugs, especially the fentanyl. Let me just go on a little story right quick. I work at an assisted living. A couple of months ago, we had an issue where we got a resident that came in to our rehab to stay there and do rehab and stuff after suffering a broken hip and having to have surgery. Well, I don't know if anybody knows, but Google and do your search. Fentanyl is mainly used as in a medical situation. It's used for pain. They have injections. They have tablets. They have patches that you put on like around the neck, over the skin. We had a resident that came from the hospital that had a fentanyl patch on her, like around her shoulder, the back of her shoulder area. She had a patch there. That patch was supposed to have been moved once she entered our facility. And she had a doctor's order to every 12 hours to remove the patch and then put a new one. That patch is to prevent pain. They are very strong. They are so strong that when you go to put that patch on, you have to wear gloves. Because if the fentanyl that's in that patch gets on your hand, it's automatically taking you to La La Land, like in a matter of seconds. So you have to apply the patch very careful. That's like if you giving somebody the pill or the tablet form. You're going to wear gloves. Sometimes you're going to wear 2 gloves. Because if you accidentally touch that tablet, it can affect you. It can go into your, seep into your bloodstream just by touching. That's the same thing with the patch. It's the same thing with the tablet. So imagine they said that the amount of fentanyl that was in these 3 men's system that froze to death in the backyard was 3 times the lethal. Lethal. You hear me? 3 times the lethal dosage. Not legal, but lethal. So it probably, you know, depending on how you're taking it, what you're taking it for, what form it is. Did you get it off the street or did you get it from prescription? That you could probably take a little bit, because I've seen on the news where people has taken a small amount and it has thrown them for a loop where they can't even stand up. You've got people falling all out, bent all over. It's forming sores on their skin and just all kind of mess. I've seen that. So fentanyl is a very, very strong and toxic chemical drug. So imagine they had 3 times the lethal dosage. Not 1, not 2, but 3. So anyway, what I was saying is that we had a resident that came in and she had one on. It should have been removed as soon as she got there. And every 2 hours she had a doctor's order. She had a doctor's order to get it changed every 12 hours. Well, whoever the nurse was, when they brought her in and did the skin assessment and looked at her skin and stuff, they didn't see it. They didn't see it, so they didn't remove it. They knew she had an order for one, but they said they didn't see it. So the next nurse comes on the other shift and adds a second one. Well, guess what happened after she added that second one? And the third nurse comes in at night and she's supposed to remove it. And she goes to add another one and she already sees 2 of them there. Now it becomes a legal matter because her family finds out about it. And now it's reported to the health and the State Department because that's a form of an abuse. That's a form of a neglect. That is considered an overdose. You heard me. People had to write statements. The district attorney had to come into the job. The family was not playing. It was considered an overdose. Because the woman had 2 patches on at one time. So imagine this. Imagine these people that consume 3 times the lethal dosage. Whether they did it willingly or whether somebody spiked whatever, they didn't know that that's what they were taking. Whatever the situation is. We're going to listen to a little bit more of this.
And it varies a great deal. There was something in the paper about somebody having a 30. The fentanyl is measured in micrograms. A very small amount causes a lot. At 30, some people will die at 30, and other people can go up to 100 or 200 and not die. See,
they could go up to 100 or 200. So people are running with this number like, oh, they had 30. They had 30 in their system. That'll kill you. Yeah, but some people can have up to 200 in their system. So it ain't like they had, what's happened is they passed out. It was enough just to knock their ass out, and it just knocked them out in the wrong place. Dolly, I stole some people from your summer live while you were sleeping. Sorry. Oh, I don't care. I'm going to air that video today, too. Sorry I overslept. It was supposed to air last night. But anyway, and we're going to get into some of Wells stuff in just a little bit. But look, it don't take long unconscious to freeze to death, you know?
varies on the individuals. So it'd be extremely unusual for a true overdose to kill them, but they would all get sleepy, and if they pass out in the snow, they die. One of the factors is it's a painless death. They don't have any pain when they pass out, or they don't have any pain from the cold.
So, Doctor, we know we're in the middle of a drug crisis, and if the report is true that they were mixing the cocaine with fentanyl, there was a report and there was a bulletin done by the DA, and they unclassified this. And the concern was people were using cocaine and fentanyl based together because they were using the fentanyl to substitute for the heroin. Why would people think that fentanyl is heroin? What type of effect? Because they sent this to all the medical.
Is that fentanyl is a synthetic opioid, if I'm correct. Okay, I don't do drugs. I don't mess with none of these drugs because they will absolutely kill you. Just say no. But it would seem like it would have the same effect.
So there you have it. They're saying that this is what they had in their system. They're still waiting for cause of death. As soon as they put the cause of death out, I will be right on here to report and let you guys know. I mean, yeah, it's really sad, really sad situation. These young men that were so young and had so much to live for. One of them was due to get married. They were engaged, and now he's gone. Not really sure if the guy that was hosting the party, the football watch party, did any funny business. They're saying that it could be a factor that he experimented with them because he was a scientist. He did concoctions and make stuff because that was his job. So some people are saying that he's the cause of it. He needs to be charged. That it was just a bogus move, him checking himself into a rehab, pretending like he has a drug problem. They're saying just in case if any kind of charges need to be filed. Yeah, it's really sad. You know, these three men have lost their life. They had so much to live for. You know, people are wondering, did they know? Did they take it freely and willingly, or was it spiked or put inside of a drink or food, or like what is really going on? What really happened in that house? Why did the homeowner, the guest, the host of the football watch party, why didn't he realize that they were in the backyard freezing to death? Why would he be saying that he thought they had left to go home when their cars were still parked in his driveway? Why wouldn't he try to help them? Why was he not outside with them? Why is he saying that he slept for 2 days, but he had no idea that his friends, his so-called buddies, were out there freezing to death? Why? The public wants to know. We have a right to know. So there you have it. That is the story about the Kansas City Chiefs fans that froze to death in a friend's backyard and died. I am going to leave this right here for you guys to watch and think about. And I want y'all to have a good day. And once again, do not forget to what? Subscribe. Do not forget to what? Like. Do not forget to what? Share. Do not forget to what? Hit the bell above, so that way when I post something, you'll be the first one to get it. Y'all have a nice day. And much respect. I'm out. Peace.